Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Hello? Hello? Okay, let's try it. It's Monday, April 21st, 6:30 p.m. I call to order this public hearing. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yep. Mark Porter.
Here.
Ty Ward.
Present.
Christy Kessel.
Here.
Megan L. Robbins.
Here.
Mark Thornton.
Here.
Deborah Williamson.
Here.
Dave Eastburn. Absent.
Okay, this is the time when anyone may speak to the board in support of or against any portion of the 2025-26 proposed school budget. Written comments will also be considered if received prior to the closing of this public hearing. Any
I
comments?
have no written comments and I'm not seeing any public comments.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, adjourned at 6:31 p.m. Thank you. All right. Moving into the regular board meeting. I call to order this regular board meeting at 6:31 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mark Porter. Here. Ty Ward.
Present.
Christy Kessel.
Here.
Megan L. Robbins.
Here.
Mark Thornton.
Here.
Deborah Williamson.
Here.
Dave Eastburn. Absent.
Yeah, I guess I failed to say that the regular monthly board meeting is to be held at 6:30 on the third Monday of each month. This meeting is open to the public and the public is encouraged to attend. Time is provided in the meeting for public input. The mission of the Fairfield Community School Board of Directors is one Fairfield where relationships foster growth, protect learners, unlock individual potential, and serve every student every day. Are there any perfections to the agenda?
I have none.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion opposed? Motion carries. All right. We're going to start with focus on learning. So we have a presentation from Katie Boatwright, our after-school program director. This update will include key achievements, challenges, and ongoing efforts to support student success and align with the district's strategic objectives. Welcome, Katie.
Thanks for having me. I always like to do this in the spring so that you guys can see pictures of all the fun things that we've been doing. I have asked that the slides not be put onto the live stream just because there's pictures of kids and some parents don't want their pictures up. So, but you guys can enjoy them. So I am Katie Boatwright. I am the director of before and after school programming for the school district. And our program is now called Explorers. We were previously just before and after school program. We didn't really have a name. And now we are the Explorers, and we are in our second year of our second grant cycle. This is the first year that we have both Washington Elementary and Pence Elementary. Our last grant cycle was just at Pence. So it was a great way for us to get started, and now we are able to serve kindergarten through fourth grade, and so it's going great. John, where do you want me to tell you to do slides? I don't think I can do this. Thank you. So if you don't know much about the program, I just have some program information real quick. We have before school program that is at both Pence and Washington, and we have 20 spots available per building. If we need to go over that, we can. Hard to get staff early in the morning, so we haven't had the need. So it's right now we're right about 15 to 20 at both buildings, and we go from 7:15 to 8:15, and both buildings at 8 o'clock go to breakfast. So that's included with the program, and we pay for that as part of that. After school programming, we have 20 spots per grade level per day. So I say that because we have more than 20 students in each grade level on our roster because some kids only come a couple days a week when they're needed. But we try to keep all 20 spots filled every day so that we have 100 total students served every day. We've been pretty close to that, and Evan, I think we could probably see, I don't know if you don't need to look it up, but our numbers have always been, our average numbers have been 100 or more every time that we've submitted our claims, so it's been doing good. We go from 3:35, it says 3:30 on there, but 3:35 is when they actually let the kids out, to 5:30, Monday through Thursday, and on Fridays we get out early, so we start at 2 and we're done at 4:30, and we also have snack every day. John? Thank you. All right, the district goals that we have been focusing on at our program have been our student success and belonging. I'm sure you guys know the goals, but with ELA and math assessments, we've done a lot with our homework time and reporting this data, because we are required for the grant to report in our local evaluation how kids are improving in language arts and math, both. So we've done a lot of stuff with that. With every day we call it homework time. It's not really homework time because no one has homework in kindergarten through 4th grade. But if they do have work that they need to get caught up on, they can do it then. Otherwise, we are doing educational activities that are focusing on math, reading, writing, and team building. So we do those 4 days a week. Fridays are fun days, so we don't always have to do homework on those days. But next slide, please. So here's some pictures of some kids doing some homework things. We did get a grant to get those wrap-ups that the little boy on the side there is using, and that's a math manipulative that the kids really like. Working on addition facts on that one. Then on the other picture, we have reading buddies, so they match up with a student who's a higher or lower grade level, and then they just read for about 15 minutes. They love doing that. It's a lot of fun. In the middle, you see a picture that is we received an award at the last Impact Conference, which is the grant everyone has to go to this conference. And we got an award. I didn't even know we were getting it, but we got it for outstanding progress in math. So I think we were at like 95% of the kids who were coming to our program showed improvement in the previous school year. So that was pretty cool. All right, John. All right, the other goal, district goal was the sense of belonging, which we focus on a lot. We do a lot of things that are team building and just kind of building a community within our program. So there's some fun pictures up there of the kids doing some different team building activities. Every Tuesday is Team Building Tuesday. We do some fun activities where they have to work as a team. And then we also have small group activities every day that they are working with mixed grade levels. So at Washington, kindergartners and 1st grade are mixed together. At Penn's, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are all mixed together. So they're making friends in different grade levels, and they're having a great time. You'll see some of those pictures. They look like they're having a lot of fun working together. We also go on a lot of field trips, which I'm going to show you a bunch of pictures of field trips because that's kind of the highlight of our program, and everybody really likes to hear about the field trips. But that picture in the middle of the 2nd graders got to go to Jefferson County Health Center, and they had a great time. And they all got sunglasses, so they thought they were cool. We've also done some clubs. This year we only did 2 clubs. Last year we had a 3rd one that we didn't end up being able to do this year because we didn't have a staff member to do it. But we did Girls Who Code this year, and that's been Andrea Tubb, who was a teacher at Pence. She leads that with 3rd grade and 4th grade, so she has one day for one group and one day for the other group. And then we did a junior chef club this year. We had 2 separate sessions because we had so many kids that wanted to do it. And Heidi Grunwald helped us over at her fax room at the high school. So we bussed the kids over there. We went and did a bunch of baking and learning how to use measuring spoons and cups and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. Kids really enjoyed that. We also were able to pull in some extra kids, and it wasn't just the kids who were coming to the after-school program regularly. So it was a way for some kids to do some fun activities that weren't everyday attendees. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so here's some pictures from our before school program. This is kind of a chill time where kids just get to hang out and hang with their friends. And you'll see they're playing games, some of them are coloring. The picture on the far side over there with the girl in the pink, that is Emma. She is my site supervisor at Penn's. And she always does some kind of an activity with the kids who want to participate. Some kids don't. In the morning, it's just too much. I have a kid who sits under the table every single day. And that's just what he wants to do in the morning, and that's fine. But it's a really great time for them to just kind of wake up and get ready for the day. So they really enjoy that. Next slide, please. All right, so every single one of our grade levels got to go to O.B. Nelson Park this year. Oh, I take that back. The kindergartners did not go. I wasn't ready to take them yet. But these are the first graders at O.B. Nelson Park. They all went in the fall. So they had a great time. See some fun pictures there. Next slide. Here's our second graders at Jefferson County Park. Every grade level got to go to Jefferson County Park this year. Fourth graders got to go twice, actually. And then Austin also came and did some things at the buildings for us during the winter months when we didn't want to do anything outside at the park. So that was a lot of fun. Kids really enjoyed that. I did not put any pictures of the snake on there. You're welcome. Everyone's favorite thing, but not mine. All right, next slide. This was a great fun field trip that we just did. My third graders got to go to Indian Hills, their aviation center. And Frank Bros actually hooked me up with a guy who runs this program. His son had gone to a camp there and really liked it, and they were great. I mean, they loved having us there. The kids got to climb inside all kinds of different planes. They had a flight simulator, and it was a great time. The kids really enjoyed it. So that was a good one. We'll probably try to do that again next year. All right, next. All right, here's my fourth graders. They everybody got to go to the library this year as well, and the librarian does a great job working with the kids and had fun activities planned. Our fourth graders got to build a fort in the middle of the library, so they thought that was pretty cool. Some things. All right, next slide. All right, here's a list of all of our field trips. I went over most of them with you there, but we also went to Cambridge. They took our third graders and our fourth graders are going there in a couple weeks just to do some programming on financial literacy type stuff, so that's fun. And my third graders will go this week, and my fourth graders already went to the Carnegie Museum, and they really had a good time there. And the fourth graders also got to go to Noah's Ark. So there's that, okay. Oh, and everybody went to Park and Rec too. That was always a favorite. So, like I said, we are in the second year of grant funding for this program. It is a 5-year grant. The first 3 years, we get $150,000 each year. Last year we spent $143,000 of that, and the reason why we didn't spend all of it is because we had some donations that we used for things that we normally would have spent money on, as well as people providing services for us that I thought I was going to have to pay for and didn't have to pay, so that was nice. Right now we are on budget to spend approximately $146,000 of the $150,000. We are able to roll over some of the funds each year. There's only one area we can't roll over, and that's professional development. There's a certain amount that's allotted for that, and we can't roll that money over. But anything that's left, we will try to roll over. And then next year, we will also have $150,000. And I put a nice note there that about 75% of our budget is spent on staffing the program. We do a lot of things. We get donations for supplies and everything else so that I don't have to spend money on that kind of stuff, because we need the people. That's really the biggest thing, and that's, it's been nice to have the money to have enough staff. So, all right, next slide, please. All right, so the next 2 years after, we're going to decrease funding. So they drop down to 75% of the grant total for years 4 and 5. So we will only have $112,500 for those years. Not sure yet how that's gonna look. We may have to cut some things. We may have to cut Girls Who Code or Junior Chef Club, some of these clubs that we've been doing, if we can't find another way to get some money. So we are always looking for ways to fund this. That's what my board has been working on that for 4 years now. We've got some good ideas, just haven't really been able to get anything to start yet, because we can't really start raising money until we don't have the money, which makes it kind of hard. But we're always open to suggestions of any of you guys have ideas of ways that we can fund this program in the future after we run out of our grant funds. So, All right, and last slide, please. Here's just group pictures, just so you can see all the kids. The Washington group and the Pence group. They were not real happy with me that I made them take time out of their recess to take a picture. But I said, I will give you 5 extra minutes to play after you get this picture done, so that's good. But anybody have any questions about the program?
I've missed the last couple of meetings that you guys had. Now, as far as the funding goes, have you guys made any progress with that? Or are we still basically where we were at half a year ago, or?
Basically the same. I mean, they're getting the word out.
Yeah.
Frank and Alyssa have been getting the word out a lot, trying to get people to. I mean, so you guys don't know what he's referring to. We had kind of talked about doing was it an LLC or something where they would run the money through?
We've talked about doing basically someone with an estate, so on and so
Right.
forth, that would have enough principal essentially where we could basically
Yes. So we'd
fund
have
the
to,
program off the residual.
Yeah,
and
so we'd have to
dividends.
open a separate LLC for
You know.
the program to be able to have funds come in and then run off of the interest of donations. And I mean, we've been talking about different ways to do that, and as of now, we haven't come to a final solution per se, so we're still open to suggestions there.
How do most parents find out about it? Is it just the beginning of the year, or?
Yeah, so the application is open. We have to do an application because so many people want it in. And it's open from August 1st through the 22nd, 23rd, whatever the Friday is usually, before school starts. And then we take all the applications, and I have a matrix that we put in and go through the needs that the students have. And we send out notices to people to let them know if they were in or not. It is posted on the campus portal, so when they go to register their kids, it's one of the things that's tacked up there for them to see. But it's also on social media stuff that we send out. In the past, we've also done like flyers to go out, but we have so many kids that want to come that we haven't really needed to do a lot of.
How many kids do you think
Promoting.
you can't take into the program right now?
So this year's been the biggest year that we've had a waiting list that hasn't been touched. Previous years, we've had a few kids on the waiting list, and after a month or two, some kids, maybe their schedule's changed and they can't come, and we can fill those spots with kids on the waiting list. But I think I have maybe about 15 to 20 kids on our waiting list that haven't been able to have a spot yet this year. But I have also been able to put in at least 10 kids off of the waiting list to spots when the kids have moved or other things have come up and they've stopped coming, so.
And who kind of comprises the staff?
So our staff is, a lot of them are school day employees that work in the buildings, but I also have a handful of people who are amazing, who work at other jobs outside and just come and work after school, which is great because on days like this coming Friday, when all the staff has to be at an in-service meeting, I still have people to work because I can pull those people who don't work full-time for the district.
Is there any, beyond that 75%, what's the next biggest expense besides the staffing?
Snacks and breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and we've been working with Stephanie through the food service to provide that for us. We do have to pay full price for each one of the breakfasts that we have, unless the kids are on the free and reduced list already, which is $2.50 instead of what any other, which is like $2.20 I think for people who, like if my kid's going to eat breakfast, I would have to pay $2.20, but we have to pay $2.50 because they can't submit any of that for reimbursement since we're not paying it right away because they have to bill us. It's paid later. Yeah, it is kind of a bummer, but it's worked out. It seems to be doing okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
How much do you think you'd have to fundraise for a program like Girls to Code to keep it going?
So really the only cost involved with Girls Who Code is paying the staff person to do it. So, and she's a teacher, so she makes $28 an hour. So it's 2 hours, 4 hours a week, and an hour of planning. So I pay her for 5 hours a week, at $28 an hour. So,
If there was magically a bunch of money, do you think that we would expand the program to be much larger, or would you think we're at a pretty good size?
so the reason why we have it at 20 is because one, staffing, it's hard to get enough people to staff the program, and I like to keep it at 15-to-1 ratio, 15 students to 1 staff person. But also space. There's not a lot of space available to use in the buildings. So, I mean, in a perfect world, we would have our own building, and we would be able to have all the kids who want to come. We'd have all the staff, but we are kind of limited to that. If we could get more staff and we could have more space, then yes, we could definitely expand. We could probably do more clubs. We could, if we had more money, because those are easier to do because they're just like one night a week instead of every single night. But you got some magic money?
Nope.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you very
All right.
much.
Thank you for letting me share some things with you.
Appreciate the
Thank you.
work.
Oh yeah.
All right, then we have more focus on learning with Mallory Mann will present, well, she'll bring it, let's see, do you have a team?
I'm
Says a team.
friendless.
Just you.
Margaret told me I don't have any friends.
So you're here to present on the district's career and academic plan.
Yeah, so this is required by the state for us to present as well every year. But so I'm gonna figure. I think I do it this way. Oh, just kidding. There we go. So our DCAP is a district career and academic plan, which is just a roadmap for our implementation of career development and then the student's individual career and academic plan. Like I said, it's a state requirement that's filled out yearly by the district team and then based on district assessment. So what we look at, we attended a session, gosh, I think it was August, maybe September, in Ottumwa, where we got our feedback and used that to kind of guide where we needed improvements this year. All right, so our DCAP goal, so the identified district goal for this year and thereafter is that by the end of the academic year, 100% of students will demonstrate measurable growth in ELA and math assessments. So these are just our 100% goals. And then in addition, our district goal is 100% of middle and high school students will participate in one or more activities by the end of the 27-28 school years. Additional identified goals that we have are that 8th graders are 100% of students will visit career and college centers, whether that be Indian Hills, college visits when allowed, Job Corps, and the military. And then high school identified goals are as follows. 90% graduation rate, 45% of students taking college level coursework, and 84% will be CTE concentrators by the year 2028. Middle school's goal is that they'll have an 80% completion rate of ICAP documents, and then last year's completed, so last year when we completed this, their document percentage was 62%. So which demonstrates a needed improvement in completed documentation starting with the middle school. We'll examine options for students with increased CTE opportunities for both middle school and high school. That's kind of as we move forward. So who completes the DCAP? So we had a pretty decent sized team this year that met regularly around the DCAP. So myself and Carly from the middle school, we also had Carla Stewart, Mark Epperson, and Molly Mazinski, so both counselors from the middle school and high school. We had some secondary teachers, Heidi Grunwald, Larissa Tyler, and Matt Shank. We also had our work-based learning coordinator this year, which is not an official title, but Mark Epperson took on that role. Our IJAG coordinator through December was Desmond Armstrong, and then Augustine, and then students' 4-year plans as well. So there are 5 components of the DCAP, and those 5 are self-understanding, so just showing interest inventories when creating 4-year plans, using either K-Navigator or ONET through their IJAG classes. This is also in like career exploration, employability skills, and all of our freshman forum classes also did this as well. And then building portfolios in those work-based learning courses, specifically Matt Jones courses, so again, that career exploration and employability skills. And then just gaining more career information around understanding the world of work. So there were field trips to local employers. We also brought people in, whether that be in our CTE strands. A lot of visitors have come in through that, and again with Matt Jones classes as well. We have career exploration experiences, so students to Indian Hills, SEC, local employers, post-secondary exploration, whether that being campus visits, military recruiter days at Fairfield High School, career day for 8th graders, career and post-secondary decisions, whether that be 4-year plans, FAFSA and scholarships. And then so looking ahead, so from 24 to this year, so improvements that we made right now. So last year, the DCAP received a 6 out of 36 for the 23-24 school year. We do want to emphasize, so something that happened, so I think, 2 years ago, they got their scores back, or excuse me, just a year ago, and they worked really hard based around the rubric that they had received. Well, then the rubric changed again. So we kind of perceived that maybe the score was so low because that rubric had changed and didn't really know. But it was largely in 23, for the 23-24 school year, it was essentially 2 people writing the entire DCAP themselves. So again, there was more shared ownership there, including staff at the middle school and high school, and a lot of collaboration around that. We really met probably around 10 sessions of meeting and planning for our DCAP. Again, that was teachers, counseling staff, admin, both from the middle school and high school. And those meetings were very intentional. There's several sections you have to complete within the DCAP. And these are really around what's already happening. So while we're planning and we're working on this year's DCAP, a lot of our focus is also looking at what we can implement and change for next year. So looking at development and programming for both our IJAG and career education classes, and then leadership courses, and then the assemblies that are happening at the middle school. We are really planning on, and like I said, we're snapshot and small improvements for this year, but things we're really looking forward to are expanding in that 25-26 school year. For additional career exploration opportunities in core classes, which has kind of been a focus, is working on teachers, or working with teachers, how they can build more career exploration into their own contents, and then enhancing the beyond high school curriculum. Addition of seminar, which I've talked about before, for next year for all high school students, which is largely going to be a lot of where the students' individual ICAP works come from, whether that's course planning, but all their course planning and activity planning will be connected to what their goals are after they graduate high school. So just making sure that they have more connections there and that we're more intentional. Counseling staff will also meet with all students in the fall individually, and again in the spring individually, and just measure where they're at. Addition of our CCTC, so that college and career transition counselor, will also allow for added opportunities at high school, whether that be career fair, scholarship opportunities, working with individual students, connecting with people in the community, bringing in more internship opportunities for us, and working on things that we need to add. And really, so that's kind of where we've been at this year and where we're working towards. Any questions around this year's DCAP?
I guess I have a question about what would it take to move that 80% number for middle school up to 100% of students creating a...
You mean for,
I guess
just around their ICAP documents?
creating the
So I think-
documents, yeah.
Yeah,
why
so,
are 20%?
I think just making sure we're using, so I think they have those inventories,
Uh-huh.
just making sure we're placing them in an accessible place for kids and using them. So I think there's some instruction and training, both for staff and us, just to make sure that we know what to do with them after the students have done their interest surveys, if that makes sense, and making sure it's housed with their 4-year plan, and making sure there's more communication there.
So do they all complete them, or do you,
Theoretically,
theoretically?
yes, yes.
In their own free time, or is there time?
No,
built
so
in?
when Miss Stewart comes down and does her days with the middle school in terms of high school planning, part of that is taking that K-Navigator survey.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I guess one other on the 90%
Yeah.
number. Do you foresee the ability to increase 90%, was it graduation rate?
Graduation rate.
Up in the coming years?
Yes,
Okay. This is just for this year and.
right,
it's
where
for-
we're at currently. Anything else? All right,
I
thanks.
guess one more, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
So how often do students kind of reflect back on this?
That's where the improvement needs to happen.
Yeah.
So that's really a big focus, especially in the seminar time. So right now, I would say there's very little reflection on it. So again, that's a big push for us for next year.
Okay.
There's a web-based program called Zello, and it's all connected to career and academic planning. It talks with Infinite Campus. Kids can have all of their four-year planning in there. It's got the 5 different components to ICAP. You can create your own lessons that go into that. You can use ones that are pre-made. You can go on virtual college visits. There's a ton of resources within it. It's something that we're looking at. It's fairly expensive, so I'm working with a rep from the company to kind of see what we could get from a deal standpoint for this next year, but we haven't finalized anything. And there's a pretty big learning curve for staff if you use it well. There's a lot to it. So yeah, and then I've got the 30-page kind of big formal
Oh, yeah.
decap that I'll share with you guys at
Yeah.
some point, just so you have it. But it breaks it down a little bit more in depth as to who's responsible for what. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay. We are ready for our committee reports. Each committee chair will share a 2 to 3 minute update connected to the committee work. Mark Thornton, would you like to start with policy?
Yes. So our policy committee met again Friday, April 11th. We did a review of, we have a policy inventory sheet that Evan and previous staff have created, so we're coming up with a plan to try and revamp, re-inventory that to make sure we're still good and the dates are all correct. So Evan and I are gonna schedule some time here shortly to go review that again so we get back on track for reviewing all the policies. We did talk through all of the spring IASB primer updates, so there were a lot of them because of the legislative session that came out. So you will probably see in the next month, probably not till June, we'll bring a lot of those just to make sure that we're in accordance with state law with all the changes that came out of there. So we'll have several to change then. And we also did talk about the cell phone policy because that one also came out of the Iowa legislature, and so we have a preliminary draft of one, so that'll be coming I think in June as well for finalizing that to go into effect for next year. So we'll have that, and there will be more communication coming out prior to that coming out. Zach's gonna take the lead on that to kind of prep and kind of give an idea of where we're at, but the actual policy will probably come to us probably in June for timing wise for next year. So
Yes.
Great.
I think that's it.
Thank you, Mark. Ty, would you like to speak on strategic planning?
Sure. We met the other day. Talked about marketing plans for the summer, what to do with our marketing this summer, how best to use it. Setting up a meeting with I guess we have a new marketer that we're working with because our old one that did the videos
Through
is
Donovan
leaving.
still, yeah.
Yeah. Also talked about the bonds and the upcoming meeting on, I believe, what do you say, the 23rd?
Yep,
Is that this
Wednesday.
week? Yeah. So yeah, there's a meeting coming up on the Geo bond, and so that's moving forward, which is awesome. And then we also just talked about SIAC, getting that on the schedule so that we can have a school improvement action committee meeting. I think that's what it stands for, right?
Advisory.
Damn it. So close.
It's all good. It's a name.
But yeah, that was pretty much it.
Great, thanks. Our finance committee did not meet this past month. And then I know facilities is who's going to speak on behalf of facilities?
Deborah Christie.
Christie? Okay.
So
they kind of just gave us an overview of future plans for the district improvements, some projects coming up that I think are going to be presented to the board for approval. So as far as the actual details, I feel like Josh will probably be going over that, or will you, Evan?
I can go over there too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just kind of a reviewing a list of the upcoming projects, and just I think everybody was in agreement that, you know, everything seemed to fit our goal, and, you know, preparing to go back to get the bond passed in November and focus on the other buildings, and so that was pretty much all.
HR negotiations.
We have not met since the last meeting. You
That's
know,
okay.
Zach and Evan, you kind of heard in their update, have been working hard on the insurance portion of things and have gotten that all squared away, it sounds like. So that's really all I have on that.
Okay, great. Dan Tristan is absent tonight, so we'll move along to a discussion on mission and vision.
Yeah, we're back. It's really good. I think I've captured the process with a bunch of different stakeholder groups, but wanted to make sure that you all heard this too. But since last October, I've really spent 6 intentional meetings with our building leadership teams in every building, and got a lot of feedback from them connected to where they believe our mission should fall or should land, based on the 4 key components that they identified as really, really important if we want all students to learn at high levels and grow every single year. And so the framework that we used was something out of the professional learning community journey, and I kind of used this idea of moral purpose as what a mission should be. Why do we show up every single day to do the work that we do, so that our students can grow and learn at high levels? And so those 4 pieces were belief, accountability, results focused, and then creating a culture of collaboration. We walked through a bunch of different drafts that I had created at each building level, and then we just continued to narrow it down. And so when it was all said and done, the only building that had their entire staff work through this process was the middle school. Their leadership team felt like that was something that they wanted to do. The other leadership teams did not articulate that, so we didn't do that with all 4 buildings. And then we brought all of this information back to the admin table, and we spent one of our Thursday mornings looking at the feedback from the different leadership teams, and then created 4 versions of the mission that we would like to move forward with. And so you see those 4, I'll read them, and then maybe just have some discussion, thoughts around which one maybe you like and why. But ultimately, I would just like to come to some type of consensus or hear kind of where you're at connected to these 4 missions. Because really, this is, again, about the work that we do daily in our moral purpose. So the 4 versions, and they're very similar, but there's a couple things that are different. And I will say that the idea of one Fairfield, that was a topic that came up a couple different times at the building level, but ultimately we felt like it was time to move away from that one Fairfield mantra as we continue to navigate what's next. So we empower all students to achieve their highest potential through strong relationships, collaboration, and accountability. FCSD will empower all students to achieve their highest potential through strong relationships, collaboration, and accountability. We believe all students will achieve their highest potential through strong relationships, collaboration, and accountability. FCSD believes all students will achieve their highest potential through strong relationships, collaboration, and accountability. I shared these with our teachers on Friday morning and highlighted the work that you guys would kind of do around these tonight. But yeah, those are the 4. Obviously, the empower, the believe, those are some differences, and then the we as opposed to FCSD. Thoughts?
And I know in strategic planning, we kind of discussed this a little bit too, so I'd love to hear from some people that are outside of that committee.
I personally like the word empower, so I would tend towards the top two versus the bottom two, but just personal preference.
I prefer we over FCSD. The, believe all students will achieve, I would prefer to see can in place of will.
Good. What else?
In our strategic planning committee, we did like, I think the action of we empower, versus FCSD and believe. There's, I guess, some alignment there.
FCSD is a mouthful. So is everybody cool with the top one then? Sounds
I
like.
think that's a good sense.
Yeah, empower is more of an action than a set of beliefs, and I think it's more appropriate, the first one.
We empower all students to achieve their highest potential through strong relationships, collaboration, and accountability.
Does anyone have any concerns about using that one?
Yeah, I don't think we're really taking a vote on it right now, right?
No.
We're just giving some feedback.
Yep. I'll chat with Dave a little bit when he gets back from his trip too, because this is close to his heart too, so. Yeah, and then I don't know if we need to bring it back in May to have a more formal process or not, established in a voting standpoint on that, but, that was a good conversation. So the next two now, the district as a whole, as far as teachers, didn't really have a whole lot of, input or say on this. This is something that at the admin table we drafted different versions of, and then landed on these two versions to bring to the board table again to get feedback. So when you think about where we want to be, what's our proposition statement? Why would people want to be here? Where do we want to be in 5 years? It's one of these two. A destination district where all people belong, learn, and grow. A premier district where all people belong, learn, and grow. So it's between destination and premier.
Would district be capitalized there as a proper noun?
I don't know.
Yeah, it seems kind of, at least looks kind of odd to me.
I'd have to get some.
Yeah, I'm not an English major.
Okay. What about, so between destination and premier, is there a preference?
I like destination better myself, but that's just personal preference.
Yep.
Yeah, destination sounds better, so when people wanna come.
What if we took out a destination district where we all belong, learn, and grow, instead of people? A destination district where we all belong, learn, and grow.
Mm-hmm.
You like that better?
Seems less formal.
And I
I
like
kinda like it.
destination because Fairfield is such an incredible opportunity for anyone to live here, adult or child. And our district has such rich resources compared to the other the other educational organizations in our district. And so when you pair that, the abundance of resources and programs that we have and talent that we have and systems that we have access to, I mean, these little competing organizations just can't hold a candle. So it is a destination for sure. and we've got that small town culture and lifestyle. It's just, yeah, it's the best.
A destination district where we all belong, learn, and grow.
Yeah, I really like the continued use of belonging. I think it's important, and then
Mhm.
learning and growing. These are, I think these are the right three words, tenants.
Mhm.
Some of our discussion at the strategic planning meeting was around the kind of all people or the we, as you changed it to, just to catch everybody else up, just because we didn't want to make this about students or about staff. We wanted, it's inclusive of everybody. So I think there was a version that mentioned students or something, and instead we changed it to we, because we want to include everybody there.
And even the parents are included, you know, when you have parents that are engaged, when you have a community that's engaged, it is we. We're all part of the district and part of the future of our children.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. I know it seems like a lot of time and stuff to just get to this, but I truly believe that there's going to be ownership of this as we continue to move forward. So appreciate the time.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Yeah.
time.
Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Deborah?
Second.
Mark? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry. Okay, public participation. Do we?
We have none.
We have no public, so I guess
Once you guys have changed your mind.
I'll forego reading.
You can come on up if you want.
Okay, let's move on to new business. 9.1, motion to adopt the proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 FCSD budget. Do I hear a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any, let's, discussion, Evan?
This will have to be by roll call.
Okay. We do have some notes from Dave, which I can share too. I can read through those. Anything before I do that? Would you like to just hear Dave's words?
Sure.
Okay.
Your Dave's words. They're good words.
Okay. It's also, it's in the agenda if you want to click on it. So, as the Finance Committee Chairman, I am offering the following perspectives on the district's proposed budget and the accompanying tax levy increase. Number one, the Finance Committee reviewed the proposed budget and the tax levy increase at its February 10th, 2025 meeting and reached a consensus that the budget was fiscally sound and accomplishes the goal of financial health as defined by the Board Policy 701.5R1. After cutting the operating general fund by $900,000, the main drivers for the tax levy increase are the need for an additional 67 cents in the Pebble Fund to continue to support the 5-year facilities plan to maintain our buildings, the large increases in property casualty insurance coverage premiums, and the special ed deficit. All these demands are largely unavoidable. Number two, the tax levy rate offers a sustainable path for the district and lowers the dependence on more volatile state funding sources. This is achieved while also maintaining a low tax rate relative to other similar districts in Iowa and with other conference schools. And number three, any burden for our taxpayers comes from the assumed 10% increase in property valuation as mandated by the Iowa Department of Revenue and not from the district's tax levy rate. This cash obligation will affect taxpayers differently depending upon their situation, and a 10% valuation expansion is the worst case scenario for most property owners. In any event, this should be viewed as an investment in our public schools, who are a cornerstone of the community's development. Respectfully submitted, Dave Eastburn, Chairman, Finance Committee. Okay.
Do you have any thoughts, Evan, or anything you want to share? Or? Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things that are still going through legislation right now that could impact our levy. There's a proposed property tax bill out there right now. Part of that bill, if it was to go through, the $1.34 PEPAL would be cut in half to 67 cents, so that could decrease this initial proposal. And there's also some other changes on the debt service levy component, but we currently do not have that as a district, so as always, we have to propose and send this in by April 30th, but legislation is still meeting and past the deadline for some of these things to be determined.
And that property tax reform has gone much quicker than anticipated. I just got another update this afternoon that I'll share with all of you that will maybe help wrap our heads around it a little bit more. But ultimately, it's going to impact homeowners the most, is how I kind of look at it. So, sorry to interrupt.
No, I was just, so what do you say about the state, the $1.34 being cut in half? What?
Yeah, so there's a proposed property tax levy out there right now that cuts all fixed levies for school districts in half. So the maximum you'll ever be able to do for PEPAL moving forward will be 67 cents. So we just passed $1.34 last March, which is reflected in this budget. But if that were to go through, we're going right back to 67 cents, which is where we have been.
So how do we rectify that shortfall then?
We'll have to cross that bridge when.
Yeah, that money is
I mean,
much
this is-
needed for our maintenance of our aging buildings.
And then
Cutting that in half seems
And
ridiculous.
then our $2.70 bond that failed last year, if we were to re-go to bond, with this new legislation that were to go through, we could only go for $1.35 without a second question. Even with the second question, the max you can get is $2.02. So
I have a pretty good idea of the answer to this, but why is the state doing that? I mean, what?
Well, then the uniform levy would also go down from $5.40 to $2.97 per 1,000 beginning in, I think, July of 26, right?
correct.
So, I'm just gonna read this, the decline in the rate is roughly offset by an increase in residential taxable valuation. So this would set the foundation percentage to 100% for both regular program and special ed beginning July 1st, 2026. They're also wanting to move, there's a technology component, right?
Correct.
And what's the other one?
Inflation.
Yeah, I don't fully understand it yet, so as we get more information, I'm just gonna continue to read it and share it. But it will impact us for sure in some capacity, it's just figuring out where we're gonna have to move money.
So the only reason I want to mention that on this item, tying it back in, is we're at $12.77. We did not switch that from the original public hearing. If that legislation were to go through, John Parker will do a true up. He's the department management guy. Usually May, June, sometimes into July, just depending how long it takes to fully understand the new bill. And that could decrease our levy before people will start paying taxes next October. But if nothing were to go through on that bill, or if it was to get tabled or not get out of the house or whatever, it'll be at $12.77. So I just want to make people aware of that.
And this, proposed reform isn't just gonna impact schools, it would be government, city, as well.
And much more of our income will be coming from state aid versus property tax. And the reason behind it is property tax relief.
Well, it's quite the squeeze.
So when will we know the answer from the state if that's gonna change?
They're moving really, really fast. I mean, I went to a presentation in Des Moines last Thursday, and we got the initial update last Wednesday at 7 a.m. So by Thursday, the financial advisors were rolling out information to all the SBOs. And it's now Monday, and we've probably had 3 or 4 new communications around it.
Webinars, we've got another one.
There's another one on Friday, so it's moving fast.
So we'll just have to cross that bridge when it comes, if it comes.
Yep, and we can't do anything on the budget at this point because it's still due April 30th. So even if they stall to May 1 or anything else on what happens, we just have to proceed with how it stands today. After your guys' vote, obviously. But.
And it'll impact districts completely different, whether or not they're property rich or property poor.
Yeah.
What you're saying with that thing you read, they're gonna offset some of it by 100% taxing instead of the 46% rollback on.
They're changing what's called the homestead credit, so rollback would be eliminated.
Yeah.
So they're moving homestead from $4,850 to $50,000 homestead credit. So if you had a $100,000 taxable assessed value house right now, you'd be paying taxes on $50,000 of that. But if you look at the current rollback, It's currently at 46%. So if you do 100,000 times 46%, you're only paying taxes on 46,000 of your house as it currently sits. So that's where we were talking about how much more goes to the residential owner. The commercial is another big piece as well, but it's lessened on the ag side. How it's currently written.
Yeah, but it would set the rollback to 100%, and what he means residential values will go from being taxed 47% of the value to 100%. The valuation growth is partially offset by a change from the 4850 homestead tax credit to a $50,000 homestead exemption.
So basically, you wouldn't be paying property tax on the first $50,000 valuation
Correct.
of your property.
Correct.
A lot more to come on that. I just wanted to mention that to you guys as we're discussing levies and you're getting prepared to vote. That could, if I come to you guys in June, show a substantially different levy. That's why. So
Yeah, and I'll
talk
share
about
this 8-page update, kind of a memo from ISFIS with you guys.
Any other questions or thoughts related to the budget? All right. So there's a motion to adopt the budget. All in favor?
that. Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Mark Porter,
Yes, or I.
Ty Ward,
Aye.
Chrissy Kessel,
Aye.
Maynell Robbins,
Aye.
Mark Thornton,
Aye.
Deborah Williamson.
Aye.
Dave is absent.
Motion carries. 9.2, approval of capital improvement bids for the fiscal year 26 summer projects.
So moved.
Thank you. Okay, so we've got 2 projects here,
There's multiple
multiple
projects.
projects, 2
Yeah.
documents.
Yeah.
So is the vote on everything?
Yep, so,
Okay.
just for clarity around that, now that we have the motion is second, is when we went over the facilities committee, when we were going over the capital improvement plan. So when we went over the whole plan, these projects tied to the 25-26 plan that we've been reviewing in facilities committee.
Okay.
So we're just showing you the bids as they come through individually as tied to the plan.
So are we just approving all these things in one vote, or
Yes,
okay? So like the baseball fence. I mean, I'm totally fine with it. I'm just kind of what is the other one worn out or just not real?
yeah, so if you look underneath, there's been some incidences of like where the chain link or whatever is like kind of rolling up and people slide under there and they get caught.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I forget what color it is right now, but this would be all black fencing and just spruce up the field. It's just time to replace. When it actually got blown down last year, this backstop got blown down last year during the storm.
Yeah.
They got a whole assessment on it and they said it's actually in worse shape than we thought. So this was originally pushed out 2 or 3 more years, but after we tabled or decided not to do solar this year, we moved that one up based on the need of that assessment.
Okay. When was the last time you replaced that fence?
It's a great question. I would have to pull the old files, but
It's probably okay. It's just one of those things you just kind of like to know how often we're actually having to replace it because that's actually quite a pretty chunk of change. So 43,000. Or no, I'm sorry, it's more than that. Is it 73,000?
So this was this is within the 5-year plan. It was just expected to be further.
yeah, it was gonna be further out. So a lot of what we did in the facilities committee last week, or what we presented, was when the solar dropped out, we shifted things up,
Mm-hmm.
and then we reanalyzed what needed to be done then. But that's been in the plan.
Then the gutters, where's that located? Where are we doing those?
Those are seamless gutters at Washington.
Okay, yep. Just worn out.
Water's pulling up on the roofs and stuff like that, causing ice, which causes damage to our.
So there's several bids here. Who are you guys recommending?
Which one are you looking at?
There's McCabe and then there's Crable.
So we're showing both. So the McCabe is the winning bid.
Okay. And then the 58,000, the value inspired products and services. What's that?
Those are for new tables at Pence.
Okay. So, are those going to go into the wall then, or what do we decide
they're
there?
already on the wall.
Okay. And this is the one company in the nation that does it.
Yep, we reached out to 6 and they're the only ones that do tables like that, so.
And there's no mechanism that can be fixed. like a spring or something?
No.
Okay. And are these tables like adequate to serve everybody in the school? There's enough tables in this
Yeah, I mean,
configuration?
yeah, we currently have 3 lunches there. So, you know, depending on down the line what that looks like as far as Pence and who's there, we may have to get more tables. We could definitely add more tables in the middle. They would just have to be folded up and then the storage piece of it. And we talked about doing that with this transition, but right now we just don't have the space to store that many tables with everything being utilized from a room standpoint. So.
And then are you guys doing asphalt there next to the football field there along the road?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, just out of curiosity, I think that's been rock for, you know, ever, right? What's kind of the decision to put asphalt there?
I think just continuing the process. We've done that at other buildings as well. I mean, you can jump in if I'm misspeaking, but it'll be nice to have that space.
We're talking about like our current like Trojan field.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've had some incidences of people slipping when it gets wet down there and it getting all muddy and getting hurt. So we fielded not a lot of complaints, but a few complaints about can we just make that nicer and pave so we can keep up with it better so people fall less.
Okay, thank you. I think
And
in
then
general
these
everything looks
doors.
reasonable.
The doors in the middle school?
No, these are Pence.
Pence.
These are Pence, okay.
So if you go to Pence and if you look at all the hallway doors right now, they're wood. So they're not actually like fireproof doors. So if we were shut there during a fire, I mean, how long it takes a fire to burn down wood. So when our fire marshal has gone through, they've indicated that we get to replace those with fire doors.
And are there 2 quotes here for that?
No, there's
Oh.
different sets of doors. So there's
Okay.
one hallway has a set of doors, another hallway has a set of doors, and there's some at tops of stairwells.
And we're using 2 different companies for the different doors? I guess I'm just trying to... There's 2 Schaus Voorhees.
Well, I thought the first one was the library exit doors at Washington.
Oh,
Is
it
that
says
not in here?
Washington, yeah.
The exterior doors. There should be some in there for Washington.
Yeah, those are the aluminum doors.
The Minko.
Yep.
That's the same. What's the second one then?
Pence.
Pence.
Okay.
Okay, so Washington and Pence doors.
Those are exterior though.
Yeah, so Schausch Voorhees is the exterior ones, the Mike's Custom is the
Okay.
interior fire doors.
And the exterior doors are just, it's a safety thing, or
Safety,
just
time to replace, not
replace,
double
okay.
pane, efficiency, all sorts of stuff.
Now back to the fencing at the ball field, did you guys only get 1 bid on that, or was that?
He reached out and he saw 3 bids for all of this, and he put in here the winning bids from the 3,
Okay.
and they were all the low cost ones.
So the fencing, we had more than 1 contractor bid on that then?
He contacted 3 different companies, and
Has the facilities committee kind of evaluated like athletic groups, facilities wise, like if there are other needs?
Yeah, there are, and we looked at the list of those.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that the facilities committee prioritized what was going to be this next
Mhm.
year. That was more us, but there's a huge scope of
Okay.
improvements that really should be addressed over the next 4 years. But they're not currently on one of the tabs for the next 4 years. So that's something we talked about at the facilities committee. Is getting those placed into a specific year. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. The black fence is something we'd like to do all around at the football stadium. There's quite a bit there to do, honestly, so. And it's all in that capital improvements, document.
So that's that first document, and then the second.
yep, so the second document was a quote that we just got in late Friday.
These are garbage cans.
Yep,
Waste
so every year we
receptacles.
set aside $25,000 for marketing. What we learned is we needed some more garbage cans. What we've learned is with more garbage cans means less trash.
What school?
Oh, these are a little bit everywhere.
Oh, okay.
So essentially the feedback we got is if you see consistent trash, even though there's a trash can 20 yards away, if you just keep putting more trash cans, it means less trash.
Any questions?
When it comes to vote, I'm gonna take myself out because of a couple of the bids, so.
You'll just say abstain when you
Yeah.
should close for it.
Sounds good.
I guess, do we feel good about the marketing dollars of these nice trash cans? I just wanna make sure we continue, I mean, this is something.
There's other stuff coming, so it's 25,000, the trash cans are 11,000, some things we're waiting on quotes on are actually some nice new tables for our, ball fields, like picnic tables with Trojan heads and, make that all good looking and stuff, but we've also talked about some signs, just so people know where to drive to and locations for entries, so.
That sounds good. Okay, any other questions or discussion here? All right, I guess let's vote, all in favor?
I
Opposed? Abstain?
I'll abstain.
Mark will abstain. Motion carries. 9.3 board policies. We have 3 different motions here. Do I hear a motion to approve the board policies listed with no change?
So moved.
Very good.
Deborah and Mark Porter. Any discussion?
Does this include the one that was deleted?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's no change. It says delete. What was that?
And so my only question was, is that just being deleted because it was a duplicate kind of covered by another one that we have, or?
I wouldn't say it was I don't know if it was a straight up duplicate, but the guidance was we didn't need to have this in there from ISB.
Yep, so I would say, I originally presented it to the committee as no change, and after meeting with the committee, they actually wanted to move to get it deleted, which was the motion and second is from the committee on there. So the motion to approve board policies with no change on the table, pending your guys' decision, technically would fail that, and we should amend that language to say motion to delete the policy as presented.
Okay. So we need to fail it first,
Not to fail that, because you have a motion in a second.
so we're gonna fail. We'd like to fail. All in favor of approving the board policy. Did I say board policies, no change or delete? Oh, sorry, I see what I
This
said.
motion
Got
to
it.
approve board policies
I
with no
got it.
change.
Yeah. All in favor? All opposed?
Nay.
Aye. I mean, nay. My motion fails. And I can just create a new.
Yep, so do I hear a motion to approve board
Okay.
policies for deletion?
Do I hear a motion to approve the board policies for deletion? As listed.
So moved.
Ty and Christie.
Okay, so we're deleting this one because ISB says we don't need it. And I think I saw later on, there's another one that's kind of covers investigations of these kind of matters. So maybe that covers some of what this used to cover.
Yes, I think there was a lot of discussion because the R's are what? More of the, help me out here, Evan.
Ours are regulation, not policy. So there's policy, then you can put a regulation behind policy. So if we want to be more descriptive around the policy, we could, but what we were running into with some of these R policies is they change so quickly that on some of them, we've decided it's just easier to abide by law, which is what the policy's gonna state.
I don't remember if it's this one or not, but we're finding more of these regulations are in some of the handbooks. I have to go back on this one specifically and remember back, but you'll see some more coming up in the next ones too, that we're relying more on the handbook than these regulations.
So we're going that direction, where we're gonna define it more in handbook and less in policy.
Cause some are already there, and
Or they contradict each other.
yes.
We have a lot of contradictions.
Yeah,
Yes.
we wanna make sure that the handbook captures the process and protocol. The policy should be the overarching, here's the board policy set. Now, how that's operationalized is up to the building level leadership team. Or the
Okay.
people involved in it. Yep.
So this is a part of the larger effort to try to make sure that our policies and our handbook match up.
Yes, and aren't handcuffing.
Okay,
Yep.
Yes.
I approve of that initiative.
Any other questions? Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Um, Do I hear a motion to approve board policies at the first reading for deletion?
Isn't that what we just did?
Yep, we did.
Just checking.
Okay. So I'm just reading the agenda, but I'm not doing a very good job.
When I corrected my minutes, it repopulated for
Yeah.
you.
Okay. So do I hear a motion to approve the board policies with no change?
So moved. Second.
Discussion here?
These again, we just picked a bunch and they're mainly in the 500s that were just up for review. So we just went through and reviewed them. They're no change from my ASB, so we didn't think of the need to change it for ourselves.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Do I hear a motion to approve board policies at the first reading and waive the second reading?
So moved. Second.
Ty and Mark Porter. Any discussion here? Did you guys look through these?
I think these were the couple that there's like a new form layout was one of them, so we're deleting the old one and taking the new. It was a lot of the same lingo, just a better format to read and understand.
Yeah, and then we actually have the new form in a Google form that they fill out, so it's not actually this, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, the one you have up on your screen, it kind of looks like it supplements, takes the place of the policy that we're deleting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so do I hear a motion? No, do I need to, oh, sorry, I was too far down. So we're at 9.4, closed. I have to have a motion to go into the closed session, or I read all of
Yeah,
that first?
so you just read the motion.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.51I to evaluate the professional competency of an administrator whose performance is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation, and that individual requests a closed session?
So moved.
Ty
Second.
and Mark.
Just roll.
Roll call vote?
Mark Porter.
I
Ty Ward.
Aye.
Chrissy Kessel.
Aye.
Megan Dow Robbins.
Aye.
Mark Thornton.
Aye.
Deborah Williamson.
Here. Aye.
Let's see.
So we'll now go into a closed. Let's take a short recess. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you guys need, just come back quickly.